This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This is your boy Black Magus, and I meant to do this earlier this week when I heard the news, but been kind of busy. But I wanted to do a video just about it, just to talk and reflect on the life and career of, excuse me, Dusty Rhodes, who passed this week. Believe he was 69. I have to look that up, but Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest personalities in the history of wrestling. One that I don't think a lot of people may have known. Yeah, he was 69. It's somebody a lot of y'all may not have known that well. You know of him, especially since a lot of you guys know his sons, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, or Dustin Runnels, and Cody Rhodes. You know, those are his sons, and they make their dad proud, by the way, because they're two great wrestlers who carry on his tradition. They definitely carry their father's tradition. Now, I will say this, and this is no disrespect to either of them. Neither of them has had his flair. Few people in the wrestling industry can say that they've had the same type of charisma, flair, and vocal skills as Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes could cut the hell out of a fucking promo. His promos were magical. One promo that everybody, of course, always remembers is Hard Times, where he, in a feud with Ric Flair, who he feuded with often. That was my childhood. Like, I'm old enough to remember that stuff, y'all. But that was my childhood. And I moved to the DC area around the age of 8. But before then, I still watched wrestling because my father, he watched it. And being in Georgia, the biggest thing down there was NWA. What was it? WCCW, the World Class Championship Wrestling. Basically, you got all the Southern wrestling shows down there. And the thing about those was that Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, they were heavy. They were really big in those federations. And their feud was just magical. It was one of those feuds that unforgettable. There have been few wrestling feuds out there that could compare to the feud that they had. You know, the promos that they cut on each other. The thing is, this was back when wrestling was considered real to a lot of people. And when they did promos on each other, you could really feel the heat. You could really feel the tension. There was something personal, even though it wasn't necessarily personal. You know, they did a great job of making it seem like these were two people who really hated each other. And the Hard Times thing was a really magical promo, I think, to a lot of people, was due to the fact that it contained a lot of emotional things that people could relate to. That's another thing that a lot of older wrestlers back in the day were masterful as doing. They were really good at hitting a chord with their audience. You know, being in the South, Dusty Rhodes saying the hard time thing, talking about factory workers struggling and things like that. How and it was really good because Ric Flair was the total opposite, where Ric Flair was the high profile, you know, rich dude who showed off his money and was extra flashy, spit on the little guy. Dusty Rhodes was the American dream. He was the everyday American man. He was the hard worker who fought for all of the blue collar people. It just settled. It was just such a great dynamic, and they played it so well. They both played both ends of it so well, and it just propelled Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair to serious heights. Ric Flair was already really big then, but I think this really is what helped Dusty Rhodes get to the level he was. And, you know, beyond that, just his personality. was just it was he just had the great personality. He wasn't the guy with the look. I mean, he was a big, big guy, out of shape looking, but he moved well, he wrestled well. He reflected normal guy, and that's what I think that's why a lot of people gravitated towards him, because his whole persona reflected, you know, I'm the everyday Joe working hard, fighting, and doing the damn thing, and being the man. You know what I mean? And his voice, just such a distinctive voice, man. Love fucking Dusty Rhodes' voice. If you ever listen to any podcast like Ric Flair, not Ric Flair, sorry, Steve Austin or Jim Ross, they always mimic his voice because it's such a magical, distinctive, great voice. I mean, Dusty Rhodes was just overall awesome. He was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up as a kid. I do believe I did have his action figure at one point, because I had a bunch of NWA action figures, and he was one of them. He will always be a favorite. He will be definitely missed. I know his sons will really, really miss him. I'm hoping that WWE do something really special for him. He deserves it. He deserves a really special send-off moment. Of course, they could have done it on SmackDown. I did not see SmackDown. No, the SmackDown is pre-taped, so they couldn't have done it. But I'm hoping something happens, maybe during the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, maybe after that at Raw, that they, really pay a big tribute to Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes, you guys got to watch. I mean, I know a lot of people can't watch older wrestling now because it's more slow, methodical. There's a lot more psychology to it. Everything's set up in such a way that, it's more quote unquote realistic, and that may be a turn off to people who are all about the huge high spots over and over again, things like that. But please watch Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair. If you want to see some great fucking matches, a great rivalry, that shit right there, that's awesome. It's totally awesome. Dusty Rhodes definitely will be missed. Great personality. Just, yeah, the man's a legend. I for one am saddened by his loss because of how big of a fan I was growing up as a kid. But anyway, you guys hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. This your boy Black Megas, and I'm out. Deuces.